So if I start here, this was me when I was, let me just get it round the right way for you. This was me when I was 6 years old, and I just passed my first ballet exam, and I so wanted to be a dancer, but I was told I was always too fat to dance. And if I was doing this in a session, I would be probably sharing about the memories that this photograph brought back for me. And there would be things like, I remember my mum saying, "Astrid, come on, smile." And I couldn't smile because I was too embarrassed. I was really embarrassed about having my photograph taken. That's as young as 6. I was so conscious of my weight even then. And I also remember from this photograph that I felt really, really the odd one out, because all of the other children who took their ballet exam that day were able to buy their ballet dress from the local shop. I couldn't buy my ballet dress, or my mum couldn't buy my ballet dress from the local shop because I was too big. So I had to have this specially made. So there was a sense of shame in this photograph for me. Although it was so sad really, because I just passed my ballet exam. I should have been on top of the world. But it's so interesting how these patterns and these stories start very, very young. So that's me at 6. So the next one I have is me at 12. This is my photograph at 12. Now I selected this one because I remember it again. It was a beautiful summer's day, and my mum had made, again the theme here, my mum had made my dress. So I found it very, very difficult to get clothes because I was always too big to fit into the normal size clothing. And I remember I was in my garden, and as you can see, I've got my hands over my tummy. When I look at this, when I look at it back, I can see, gosh, yeah, at the time I wasn't aware, but I can see I was already covering up, or trying to cover up parts of me. And I remember feeling so super conscious, because right up here, I don't know whether you could see, but it was so tight. I was just about to sort of burst out of this dress, and again, felt so conscious about my size, my weight, and really not enjoying the beautiful summer's day that was there at the time. This one is a real milestone photograph for me. It was when I was 16, and it was taken I was on a camping trip with my best friend, and I remember sitting in this deck chair, and my best friend's mum, who I adored, and my friend obviously, but I remember she said, "Oh, let's take a photograph of you." And I remember thinking, "Oh no, don't take a photograph of me." And I remember she kept saying, "Smile, smile, smile at the camera." And I couldn't even look at the camera. Every time she said, "Astrid, look at the camera," I just couldn't look at the camera. So, my head was down and I was trying to smile, but I felt super embarrassed and just really unconfident. And I was just trying to enjoy just being there with my friend at the time. So, and this was a milestone as well, because I remember I'd gone to a careers interview, and the careers interviewer had said, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" Not when you grow up, but when you leave school, And I remember saying to her, because I love dance, and I said, "I want to be a dancer." And I remember she looked me up and down, and then said quite quietly, "Well, I've always thought that dancers have to be skinny, and you're not." And I did everything I could not to cry, but I pulled myself together and I said, "Well, I will lose weight and I will get into the dance school that I want to get into." But I remember she sent me away with a pile of leaflets about secretarial courses and maybe a law degree. She said, "You're not unintelligent. Law would suit you." She hadn't heard a word I'd said, but I suppose from her point of view, me sitting there, I think I was probably around 15 to 16 stone at the time. She probably thought I was living in some kind of la-la land. That's not such a bad place to live. But anyway, that was my 16 photograph. And now this one's interesting because I'd lost a lot of weight. And this is when I was 17, just over 17. So I'd lost a huge amount of weight, around about 6.5 stone here, very quickly. And, it's one of those moments that you think you should be really, really happy. And I was wearing a really tiny bikini. But I was so unhappy. I was so self-conscious, again, so self-conscious. And although I was wearing this bikini, I was super conscious of my tummy and my legs. And couldn't enjoy it. Just, I'd lost weight, so my body had changed dramatically, but my head hadn't. The story I was running here in my mind was still the same, critical, judgmental, hard, wanting me to still be something different. And I wasn't quite sure how much thinner I could get from this photograph. So fascinating when you start to look back at the journey. Now, this starts to get interesting here, because for me, I was on this quest to really try to find a way to love myself. And at that time, there wasn't so much information that we have now about the importance of loving ourselves and the importance of looking after ourselves. And, I was always going to workshops and, training courses and things like that, trying to find a way. And I was just starting to really find a way that I could actually start to like myself. And one of the most important things I did was quite amazing. I started to do some plus size modelling. Now, this photograph is when I was 28, and I was probably around a size 16, maybe just over a size 16. But I was starting to get happy in my skin here. So this is me at 28, and I was doing a modelling shot for a national newspaper in the UK. And I love that photograph. But I was still conscious. I always remember this photograph, and I was still conscious of my tummy. And I still felt that, even though I was learning to love me, there were still those body niggles that were going on. Am I really okay? Is this really okay? But when I actually look back at the photographs, there was a sort of sense of, oh, I do look all right. So, the picture my mind had been giving me again, and the old image that I had, suddenly when I saw this, I started to really deepen that sense of, I might be okay. And so it was a great journey, a great change starting at 28. And I was teaching my own fitness classes as well at the time, which led me to, at 38, another milestone for me personally, because at 38, I was asked by GMTV, which was then called GMTV, was an early morning TV show, and they wanted me to come and present the fitness slot. And that was quite amazing, because I was probably around just over a size 20 here, but this was me at 38. So here I was doing the splits, and I can still do the splits, amazingly enough, and I'm 58 now. So yes, that's all good. But I remember this, and probably a real milestone, because there I was, working out and dancing on national television at a size that when I was 16, I would have said I would have never done that in my life, because I was always trying so hard to become a size 10 in order to be accepted, in order to do the things I want, in order to dance, to work out, to follow my passion, which was movement. And so this was huge. I mean, this was really, really a big moment in my life, pardon the pun, but to be able to actually go on national TV and stand up in my own power, owning yourself and not being ashamed, not hiding away, actually saying, well, look, I am a size 20, this is me, and, that's not what it's about. What it's about is life and love and following the things that give you joy. So that was a really big personal step for me. And then the story, as all stories do, they change. And this photograph was taken when I was 42. And after I'd finished my contract with GMTV, I was studying psychotherapy and coaching and counselling. This is when I was really, really developing that sense of really studying this properly and professionally. But unfortunately at the time, I got really bad arthritis. And all of a sudden, my health just deteriorated. And this picture is me lying on the couch at home and unable to walk very far at all, because my joints, my ankles, my toes, my knees hurt so much. So this is me at 42. And as you can see, just, I had piled on a huge amount of weight again. I had really slipped very far back in my own journey. I wasn't moving, everything seemed to have gone from my life. I wasn't able to move, I wasn't able to dance, to do the things I loved. I felt a failure, I felt ill, I felt tired, I felt that is there any hope? Can I ever be what I really wanted to be? Could I ever find that joy and love in my body again when my body hurts so much? And I think, when you suffer any illness and chronic illness, it is a real challenge to your body confidence, because you really have to learn. I mean, that's huge, because you really have to start to learn to love your body, even though your body, as you feel it, may not be working for you, or maybe, like I felt at the time, was totally letting me down. I couldn't understand how my body had gone to this when I'd been so fit and healthy before, and how that had manifested in my life. But it was a huge time of learning. This particular time was just massive in my life. And I probably at this point was really learning how to love me. Because, if you can love yourself when you are ill and tired and in pain, then that's massive. That's really massive. So just moving on. And those lessons were really teaching me. My body has been probably my greatest teacher in my life. And this was when I was 48. So at 48, I was coming back again. I had found ways to start to move again. I had gone through a lot of different medications. I was changing my diet. I've been vegetarian for over 30 years, and I was starting then to go vegan and look at dairy and the impact that dairy had personally on my body. I was really working with my hungers. I will teach you more about the 5 hungers in that particular segment of the videos and the teachings. But this was massive as well, because I wasn't dieting, I wasn't doing anything like that. I was super kind and applying everything that I knew, mind, body, emotions, soul, and starting to move again. So again, huge step in my own journey. And today I selected this photograph because it just says everything about how I feel today. So as I said, I'm 58 today, and this is my most recent photograph, and I just love this. I was out on holiday and I wondered whether I was trying to sort of do the old GMTV photograph that I did. And I wondered whether I could actually still do those splits. And I did. And it was just a beautiful moment, because there I was, 20 years on from the GMTV days, and that time when I first really said, here I am and I can do this, and I'm going to be proud of my body and who I am, and I'm going to stand up and do the things that I love. And at 58, wow, still doing it.